Hello, this is Manuela, your guiding light, and this YouTube video is about spiritual partners that have or are with non-spiritual partners. So very often you'll find that those are the most challenging relationships, and they will always try a little bit to change each other. So it's really hard for this relationship to survive. And the only way for a relationship to survive is the non-spiritual become spiritual. Because when normally what happens, the non-spiritual try to change the spiritual partner. And the spiritual partner will change only for some time. But because what happens to that spiritual partner, the soul gets really squashed. Eventually the soul will come out and scream. And the spiritual partner will long to be themselves again. So, and if you try to change a non-spiritual partner, if spiritual partner try to make a non-spiritual partner to be more spiritual and to be able to stay together, again, that's very tricky, because there's a difference when somebody is actually connected and spiritual, and when somebody is not connected and trying to be spiritual. So if your partner is not connected and it's purely most of his life or her life driven by ego, you'll find that if they make decision to be more spiritual, just to keep the relationship and to be able to understand you, it's coming from the ego again. It's not coming from truth. So that's going to create a lot of problems, and that usually can end up only into them manipulating the spiritual partner to stay. Because really, true what it is, when you try to be spiritual to keep your partner, it is manipulation, because it's not coming from true source. So the only way for you to keep your spiritual partner, if you are non-spiritual, is to truly connect to the source. And your intention has to be to actually connect to the source for yourself. If your intention is to connect to the source to keep the relationship, again, it's a manipulation. It's not going to work. The true intention has to be to connect for yourself and let go of relationship, whatever happens, whichever way, because when you truly connect to yourself, you don't have need to hold on to anybody or to try to manipulate anything. So the only way to keep that relationship is for non-spiritual partner to actually connect, because that's the whole purpose. When spiritual person attracts a non-spiritual person, it means most of the time, 99%, is that the soul contract is for the spiritual partner to help the non-spiritual partner to connect, to make changes, to go to shift and to connect to the source. Because that's the reason why we all here. Everybody that is spiritual, helping to non-spiritual people to connect, because that's what we all meant to do. We are all going through shifts, especially since 2012, where we all going to connect. So the soul contract, it's most of 99% here for non-spiritual person to help to, for spiritual person to help to non-spiritual person to connect. And it has to come from that core inside of you. When you actually look at your spiritual person and you absolutely adore them and you want to be spiritual, now that's the key. That's when you're truly connected and you can save the relationship. Well, when you look at your spiritual person and you're struggling to understand your spiritual person, your spiritual partner, and you think, okay, well, I'm just gonna be more spiritual so I can understand them and so I can save the relationship. Well, that's not going to work, because that's where you're manipulating the universe. So, and that can actually go deeper and deeper. What happens if that, which happens most of the times it happens that the non-spiritual person actually open their psychic abilities, which is difference between being spiritually connected to the source and open your psychic abilities. When non-spiritual person from his mind or her mind decides to be spiritual, which means open their psychic abilities, that's what people normally see as a spiritual. If you can see visions, if you have dreams, if you can predict something, which is actually quite wrong. So then that person starts to use their psychic abilities to manipulate the spiritual person to stay. And that's when the real war and struggle starts. So don't try to do that. Don't try to open your psychic abilities and to try to be spiritual to keep your relationship or your spiritual partner. It will never work. You can maybe manipulate the situation or in your home, but you cannot manipulate the universe, because it's on a universal level. It's all about energy. You must shift from inside, deep inside the energy, to actually keep that partner and to really truly wanting to be spiritual and to love that spiritual side of your partner, of your spiritual partner. Also, what happens sometimes, the non-spiritual partner that try to open their psychic abilities and be spiritual, they usually try to connect to the partner. They think that by connecting to their spiritual partner will actually keep them. It's not. You have to be connected to your higher self to keep the relationship. By connecting to your spiritual partner, you're sending psychic attacks, because it's you sending your energy, manipulative energy basically, to connect to your spiritual partner to keep them to stay with you. That's manipulation, and it's not spiritual. The only way to keep them again is to connect to your higher self, to the source, and allow and accept whatever it's meant to be. Now, spiritual person, if you are struggling in any relationship, and it's quite natural for spiritual person to sometimes wish to have a spiritual partner. Again, it's a very wrong wording, because a lot of people see different definition of spirituality. So if you're a spiritual person and you would like to have a harmonious relationship, you would ask for a partner that is connected to them higher self and to their source, to the source. So only that person that is connected to the source will be able to understand you, spiritual, sensitive person, and to accept you and not to want to change you. Only partners that are coming from ego will want to change you, your spirituality, to make you more logic. So don't ask for spiritual person, because I feel there's a lot of confusion when it comes to that. You might see a person that think that it's spiritual, and maybe that person truly believes that it's spiritual because he doesn't understand it, and you will accept that. And with time, you will realize that that's not true. And then you will want out from that relationship. So ask for the person that is truly connected. That person will accept you exactly for who you are. That person might not have the psychic abilities open, but will actually accept you and love you exactly for who you are. So I just want to explain a little bit about that difference between spirituality. So I see that a lot of people misunderstand that. A lot of people think they actually can see a little bit of vision. They open their third eye. They practice to open their third eye, and they see visions, and then they can read a little bit of cards, and they can have really good psychic abilities. There's a difference between psychic abilities and true connection. A lot of people that are not connected to source can have psychic abilities open, especially if they intentionally want to open them. And it's coming from ego. You're opening your third eye. Doesn't mean that you are connected. A true spiritual person is truly connected. And it doesn't have only psychic abilities. It actually has different point of view on life. It has different mind, thinks differently, see things completely differently. So try to be careful when you're talking to somebody and when somebody says, I'm spiritual. Go a little bit deeper into that and see if that's really true spiritual connection, or is it just coming from their mind and from psychic abilities, because I believe that's actually quite different. A true person will not, true connect person will accept the situation and will not try to use the psychic abilities to manipulate the situation. A true connected person just thinks completely differently. And the energy is very sensitive to energies, cannot tolerate and be around just anybody. So there's a quite big difference between true connected spiritual person and the ones that actually just trying to be and open their psychic abilities and enjoy. There's a lot of people that just simply enjoy having a lot of readings and cards, tarot cards, and enjoy listening and learning about it, but doesn't mean that they're actually truly connected. Maybe that's their way of preparation. Maybe that's the way the universe will prepare them for true connection, but it doesn't mean that they are. So for a spiritual person to have a good romantic relationship, you need a person that is truly connected. So I hope this information helps you. And even if you don't manage to save the relationship, trust me, there's a good reason for it. Universe has something better for you. You have to look at it that way. If that relationship doesn't work, if you are non-spiritual and you can't save a relationship with a spiritual person, trust me that that's the best for you. That universe has something better for you. Somebody that it's your energy match. So I hope this information helps you. I'm sending you lots of love and light. And if you did like this video, please click on like or subscribe. Bye-bye for now.